Hey guys, so on my channel, I talk a lot about dialectical behavior therapy and do a lot of skills breakdowns, but I realized that I've never really talked about mindfulness. In DBT, mindfulness is one of the core skills that you learn, and there's a bunch of skills that fall under mindfulness, but it's kind of a very broad topic and something that I wanted to explore a little bit more in this video because when I first got into DBT and started learning about mindfulness, the idea that I had about mindfulness was that it is sitting in silence, clearing your mind, not thinking about anything, and just meditating in total silence. So, through DBT, I've learned that this is not actually true. So, in this video, we're going to talk about mindfulness. We're going to talk about what it is, what does it do for us, and how we can practice it. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is what mindfulness is. And a lot of this is things that I have pulled right from Marshall Linehan's DBT handbook, which has a lot of great skills in it. And I always highly recommend it. It can be kind of dense to go through, which is why I like to make the videos to help it be a little bit more clear and able to be understood better. So, Marshall Linehan, who created DBT, her definition of what mindfulness is living in the present moment and not just doing automatic behaviors. It's not judging and rejecting the moment, and it's not being attached to the moment. So this kind of sounds a little bit kind of fuzzy and out there. There's not really a lot of concreteness here, but I think the biggest thing is that to be mindful is to be aware of what you are doing in the present moment and focused on it and not trying to, push that moment away to get to something that feels better and not to try to just stay attached to it to prolong it more than it's, going to take. So basically just kind of living in the present with awareness of the present. The next thing we're going to briefly talk about is what mindfulness does for us. So mindfulness helps to strengthen your prefrontal cortex. And by doing this, it helps to reduce suffering and increase happiness. It helps to increase your control of your mind, and it helps you to experience reality as it actually is. And kind of in experiencing reality, you're also experiencing your own validity and your own goodness within the world. So it's helping you to see yourself as a valid person in part of this shared reality. So next we're going to talk about how we practice mindfulness, and I think this is also where we're going to get a little bit more into kind of a more concrete definition of what mindfulness is and what it can look like. So mindfulness is something that you can practice anytime, anywhere, while doing anything. So basically, to do mindfulness is just to pay attention to the present moment without judging the moment and without pushing the moment away and without holding on to it. So there's a couple different common types of mindfulness, even though almost anything can be a mindful activity if you're doing it with awareness. There's a couple really common types. The first type is one that I mentioned in the intro of this video, which is meditation. There's actually kind of two ways to focus meditation. One of them is to focus your mind in, so focus on your body sensations, focus on your emotions or your breath, kind of things within you. And then the other is to focus outward, which is to pay attention to things in the environment around you. So maybe sounds that you're hearing in the environment, things that you see around you, is a way to practice meditation by expanding your awareness to what's around you. The other common types are prayer. So in a lot of different religions, prayer is a mindful activity where you are kind of using mindfulness and your spirituality to kind of connect to a higher power to help you feel more aware of the present moment. And another common type is mindful movement. So this can be yoga, it can be martial arts, it can be horseback riding, hiking. There's a lot of different things that fall under mindful movement. Basically, any kind of movement that you're doing where you are paying attention to your body and what your body is doing in the present moment is a way to practice mindful movement. And in a lot of the different ones I mentioned, like yoga and martial arts, you're also focusing on your breath as you're moving your body. So that's kind of another level of mindfulness. So as I said before, and I've said a few times in this video, the main thing that you want to think about when you are thinking about mindfulness is to keep your focus on the present. It's inevitable with the way human minds are. Your mind is going to wander, especially if you're just starting a meditation practice and you're not really used to it yet. Your mind is going to wander to other things. That's completely natural. And it doesn't mean that you're meditating wrong. When I first was doing mindfulness practices, I was doing a lot of guided meditations with my therapist, and I would always get really mad at myself when I would get distracted from the meditation and I started thinking about something else. But he kind of helped me through that by saying the goal of mindfulness isn't to keep your focus 100% of the time on the thing that you're focusing on, in my case, the guided meditation at the time, but it's to be able to kind of move your awareness. So as you're doing the meditation, if I start to notice that my mind is going to something else and I'm thinking about what I have to do tomorrow, or I'm thinking of that thing that happened a month ago, all I need to do is to just refocus onto the mindfulness, onto the present moment, whether that's someone talking in a guided meditation, whether it's focusing on my breathing as it's happening in the present moment, anything like that to just kind of recenter your focus is kind of what you want to think about doing while you're practicing mindfulness. So, there are 3 steps to mindfulness that we talk about in DBT, and those steps are observe, describe, and participate. So, first, with observe, what you want to do is notice your body sensations. So, like we've talked about before, think about your breathing, think about where your body feels tense, kind of things happening inside of your body. While you're observing, you also want to pay attention to what's going on around you in the present. You want to work on controlling your attention and your thoughts. So, that's kind of what I was just talking about. Like when you get distracted, but then you pull yourself back in to what you're doing and you're kind of just observing that distraction in the first step. The second step is to describe. This is where you put your experience into words. So you want to label your thoughts as thoughts, emotions as emotions, things like that, and kind of you're acknowledging what is happening to you in the present by putting words on it. So, in my example of getting distracted during a guided meditation, I would say something like, I am noticing that I'm getting distracted and I'm thinking about this thing that happened 3 weeks ago and it's making me feel sad in the moment. So, I take that experience that I was having, put words on it, and then the third step is to participate. So, this is where you want to just throw yourself completely into the present moment and what you're doing. So, to stick with my example of getting distracted during a guided meditation, if I put all 3 steps together, it would look something like, I notice that I'm getting distracted. Then I would say, I'm getting distracted by this thing that happened and it's making me feel sad. I've now acknowledged that I had this distraction and the way I'm feeling about it. And now I'm going to choose to participate by putting my attention back onto the guided meditation that I'm doing. So basically, for the participate step, you kind of want to go with the flow because this is where a, a lot of people, and myself included, will get judgmental about how they're feeling. When, like I said, like when I would get distracted, I was like, oh, I'm definitely doing something wrong. Like I'm meditating wrong. I'm doing mindfulness wrong. Like I was judging myself for it. But in the steps to mindfulness, when you are participating, you're kind of letting go of that judgment, being like, it happened. I didn't really like it that much, but I'm going to just go right back into it and keep doing what I'm trying to be doing. So that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If anything wasn't clear or you have any questions, please feel free to leave those in the comments. If you have different mindfulness practices that you like to use, please also feel free to leave those in the comments. I always find those super interesting, and it's really cool to see how many different ways there are to practice mindfulness now that I know that it is so open. I also have a video that I will link at the end of this video talking about Wise Mind, which is one of the mindfulness skills, and I will be talking in the coming weeks about more mindfulness skills that are in the DBT handbook. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.